Most men are not prepared to walk away.
Yep.
And if you're not prepared to walk away, you don't have any weapons. When I was heartbroken, when I was whatever, well, everyone's been heartbroken. I can't remember a specific example. I hit the gym harder, right? If something goes wrong with your payment processor, that's when you get inventive. That's business, right? That's when you get inventive. So all the bad things that happen to you as a man, if you're stoic, you get to take unlimited energy. Heartbreak is unlimited energy. So is depression. So is rage. So is sadness. All these negative emotions they tell you to collapse behind. Yep. I say this to guys all the time. I've had loads of guys who come to me for like coaching and stuff, and they say, you know, my woman doesn't respect me, And I say, look, it's much harder to fix something that's broken than just never let it go wrong in the first place. Well, emotions are feedback. The idea that men don't feel emotions is incorrect. We feel emotions. I would actually argue we feel emotions with certain emotions stronger than women. I would argue that we feel heartbreak stronger than women. I would argue we feel anger like a woman could never understand. I would argue we are extremely emotional. Rage, pure rage. Well, it's feedback. So when you get the feedback, it's all about how you internalize that and how you process it. Exactly. If she knows no matter what, you won't leave, then what weapons do you have? Anything you say, shouting, screaming, yelling, going out away for a few days, whatever. She knows you're going to come back. You have no weapons. The second, imagine a girl came to you and she said, no matter what you do, no matter how many times you cheat, no matter what, I will never leave. Right. Think of all the shit you do. I know I do.
Yeah.
So this is the point. So as a man, if you're never prepared to walk away, you're never going to be respect. And the woman thinks, you know what? You might just because the king moves one square at a time, and the queen can just zip across the board, right? So you're here in Miami. You're partying in Miami. They have all these parties right now. It's Art Basel, blah blah blah. You see all these chicks on a boat. For the man to get on that boat, it's one square at a time, right? He has to get a good job. He has to get his taxes right. He has to find a way to leverage credit. He has to meet the guy who sells the boats. He has to go through all this shit stage by stage by stage to finally pull off being on that yacht and having that yacht at the age of 56. A chick, what does she need? Lip fillers? Boom. Zip. On. She gets straight on. That's the difference between the king and the queen. But although the king is slower than the queen, he's the most important piece, right? The king can't die. The queen can die. The queen, sometimes you can be looking at a position and go, this is the only way out of this is to sacrifice. Sometimes you can do it. I'll tell you a very quick story. This is a story I've never told before. When I was, how old was I, 23? When I was 23, I was dating a ballerina. She was the prima ballerina of the Cambridge Ballet School in England. And I had no money. I was a fighter, but I was coming up. I didn't really have any money. And she lived far away, like an hour and a half away, but she used to come see me, and we were good for like a year and a half. I loved this girl, yeah? And she finished ballet school. She started dancing in clubs in London. She couldn't get any ballet work, surprise, ballet work, right? So she ends up doing like dancing, and not stripping, but like dancing in the club, you know. So now she's around all the London money every day. She's out dancing all the time. She's up late every night. She doesn't want to drive an hour and a half to come see me. None of this shit. So we're kind of falling apart a little bit. And she ended up talking to someone famous, David Hay. I don't know who he is, he's a boxer. Mm-hmm. So David Hay starts texting this, right? Back and forth to the... So anyway, when I finally saw her again, she was like, we had an argument. She's like, well, you know what? You think you're a fighter. This guy, that guy, this guy, that guy. I'm like, look, if you're going to go idiots, at least do it for money. And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, if you're idiots, at least get paid because they don't give a about you. Like, if you're going to play this game, at least do it for money. Right. So I had this argument with her back and forth, and I explained to her that these men are just going to use you. If you're going to do it, at least get paid. And when she left the house, Tristan said, why are you telling her to dudes? I'm like, no, I'm just understanding that in my chess position, I've lost this game. Right. The game is done now. Just sooner or later, she's out. All we do is argue. She's in the club every night. I'm just trying to say, before she leaves, maybe I can get a little bit of money. Yeah. Yep. That's the queen sacrifice, right?
Right.
We broke up 3 months later. I don't know if she's not or who she, I don't know. I never spoke to her since. So you have to mean what you say. You have to let her know, look, there's some things I won't tolerate. And if you I'm going to walk away. And if you walk away and she doesn't chase you, then she's gone. At least you saved yourself a nasty divorce and getting cheated on and all that shit. Just end it then and there and save yourself a bunch of time. All of this is my fault. But the Bugatti on my drive is my fault. And the yacht is my fault. The private jet's my fault. So it's all my fault. So I take the good with the bad. I take all responsibility for absolutely everything, including if a woman leaves me, if a woman stays, if I end up heartbroken, if I end up filled with rage, I take responsibility for that. If something happens to me that makes me enraged, I will take responsibility. Why has this happened to me? Why do I feel this way? How did I end up in this position?
Right.
From the second you got together, you should have been a man, and you haven't got to be you haven't got to be aggressive. I'll sit with a girl and very politely say, look, if we're going to be in a relationship, if I'm going to take you seriously, you're not going to have male friends. If you want to hang around with a whole bunch of men, then I'm not going to take you seriously. I go through a breakup a week. I'm used to it. I don't give a shit. And it's just like, this is part of the game. So you have to be prepared to walk away as a man. So you have to look at any relationship you're in and say, okay, I'm a nice guy. I love her. She loves me, but I have boundaries. And if she fucks with them, I'm going to have to walk away. And that's the truth. Otherwise, you're never going to be respected. Is this healthy in this scenario? And sometimes it is. I've had scenarios in my life where I was prepared to die to protect somebody else, and I was enraged, and it was healthy. I've also had times where I'm in a room by myself, enraged, sitting there going, this is no good for anybody. I need to just calm down. So emotions are feedback, but stoicism is the ability to process it. And that's what you need to be learn as a man. You're never going to be able to turn them off. You're going to feel them. You have to learn how to process them and turn them into a positive. It's energy. It's unlimited energy. I say this all the time. I say that the biggest periods of transformation in my life is when everything was going wrong. I've been through, when you've been through real shit, a breakup just doesn't become that real anymore. You know, I've had people try to kill me. I have stab wounds. Tell me again about this girl who doesn't text you back. Like, who gives a shit? There's people in Syria getting bombed.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have to get some perspective and just realize you're being, like, there's real trauma out here in the world. Terrible things happen day after day. And here you are, alive and breathing and perfectly healthy, and you're going to cry over some bitch. When life's smooth, then it's semi-hedonistic, pretty relaxed. But when I make my biggest progress, when I really change who I am and change the world, that's when everything's... When things go wrong, or I'm feeling things I don't want to feel, or bad things are happening, that's when I'm like, okay, I currently cannot sleep. I've completed the day's tasks. I've tried to go to bed. I can't sleep. More shit has to be done. That's when the amazing things happen in my life. But that's kind of the analogy you have to be able to apply to life. Sometimes chicks gotta go. Yeah. Sometimes they have to go to save the king. And too many dudes, most of the time, men truly lose at life is because they've attached themselves to a queen and they won't let her up. They won't sacrifice her. No matter what. I promised I'm going to stick by you. This, our marriage vows, no matter what. And they just stay on that sinking ship till she eventually leaves his ass. And I lay it on them. Now, if they choose to keep all their male friends, then that means she's chosen these friendships over me, which means sooner or later she was going to cheat anyway. Like, how long until she jumps on a new dick anyway? So why would I even be upset about it? But most men are too scared to just put the ultimatum down. But men are too afraid to pull the plug on it because they get addicted to, they don't believe they can get any mercy, and they get all messed up. And this is one of the advantages of being a playboy. I can leave any chick because I got 10 more.
Yeah.
So if she doesn't act right, I'll just replace her for the night, and I'll feel better by the next day. It's like, people talk like, Bruce Lee says, be like water. And people see that as be fluid and just go with the flow. I disagree. If you're like water, you're necessary for life. You are scary when you're enraged. You're powerful. You're beautiful when you're calm. You're so many things when you're like water, right? So if I'm enraged, it's like water behind a dam. You just got to put the dam in place, and you got to get the turbo, the hydroelectrics, but it don't tsunami your life. Put the energy somewhere. And this is the most beautiful thing about it, because people message me all the time like, oh, but Tate, you don't know how sad I feel. No, incorrect. I know exactly how sad. The difference is I used it. And you're sitting here still crying, some random guy on email for a month in a row. That's the difference between you and me, my friend. I was becoming a world champion kickboxer. I got to a point to do it. People often talk about depression and say I don't understand it. I will say, listen, there's been times in my life where I was fully functional as an adult. I would never label myself depressed because I don't believe in the idea of labeling myself in a negative, because I don't believe in things that take power from me, which we'll talk about in a second. But there's been times in my life where I didn't give a fuck to die. There's been times in my life where I went to fight a man for money, and I didn't give a shit if I lost and even woke up again. Didn't give had nothing worth living for. I was brokey, didn't have a girlfriend, didn't have money, got a 2-day call to fight some world champion, had to lose 10 kilos in 2 days, had nothing else going for me, got on a plane to Dagestan, won. Suicidal, did it? But I was just like, no, I don't give a shit. And that's when I was at my most powerful. Now if I get that call, I'm like, bro, I got a new car outside and shit. I'm not going to Dagestan, bro. Going to where? And it's sad to see, but men keep doing it.
Go back to the chessboard. All you got to do is get your pawn across.
That's
and
right.
The pawn turns into a queen.
That's right.
And I need you guys to understand that you can take a pawn and turn her into a queen, but if the queen allows you to be surrounded, the game is over.
Right? I didn't want a sport with any luck. That's the thing about chess. It doesn't matter how well you played. It doesn't matter how nearly perfect the game was. If you lost, at some point, you made a mistake. Even if you can't identify it, at some point, you have made a mistake. And that's a fantastic metaphor for life as well. Because there's so many people out here who don't take responsibility and they'll come along and go, well, COVID happened. That's why I lost all my money. No, I don't buy that. I don't give a shit what happened. At some point, you did not diversify. You did not prepare yourself. You made a mistake. It's a good life philosophy I have. Everything that's good that happens to me is all my fault. And everything bad that happens to me is all my fault. I take absolute responsibility. So chess teaches you that, right? And fighting's the same. People talk about lucky punch. If you're fighting a dude who trained to punch people in the face and then he punches you in the face, it wasn't a lucky punch. That's what he does, right? So there's no luck involved. All the glory's with you. A couple times, like Luke went to go, hey man, I'll message you. We'll be sitting in the same room, WhatsApp. It's just people. Loose lips sink ships. Doesn't matter if you're doing nothing wrong. You gotta be careful who you're talking around. They listening to shit. And in the modern world, they record shit. Like you don't want to, even if it's a 0.1% chance, but what's the upside? Like there's no upside. Yep. So why take the 1% chance? Risk reward. I'm very, very careful. And especially with women, not because they're necessarily malicious, because women in general don't have to worry about the certain things I'm talking about in terms of professionalism. There's a whole bunch of beautiful, smart, great women out there who just go through life and they're just Instagramming everywhere they go and they forgot their keys and do. And if she's too close to your circle, she's just an in. It's an in to get you. And you gotta be careful. And it's amazing whether it's the 1970s Soviet spies or the 2022 mafia, when they want to get a dude, it's a chick. You used to live in a city full of hot girls, right? And Tate lives far away. I'm safe. Tate's far away. Maybe I'll get some. No, sir. No, sir. Nope. I'm going to find her. Put her in a private jet. Over her face. You can have her afterwards. There's no safety now, right? Nope. It's all become international. And women are now internationally competing. Beautiful women are talking to men in 15 different countries. I get this all the time. People say, do girls love money? And I say, look, it's not about loving money.
Lifestyle.
It's not, lifestyle's a part of it. But I even say another point. I say that every single man a hot girl talks to has money. So it's not even a differentiator. It's like having arms. It's just one of the things that dudes have. They don't expect you to not have money. They don't respect your money because it's normal to just go on a $1,000 dinner and the dude just pick it up. Yeah. Having money is not enough. Having money qualifies you to try. That's it. Allows you to try along with the other rich men. But there ain't no baddie who ain't talking to a bunch of rich dudes. It really doesn't matter that much. It's just like we all can pick up the dinner and there really ain't that big a difference, truthfully, in lifestyle. There ain't really that big a difference between a guy with $500,000 in the bank and 20 million in the bank. Really? I mean, you go to dinner, you go club, like, so what are you gonna do? Start sitting there and showing her your bank account? I have a little bit more. Right? Everyone she's dating is going to pick up the tab. Yeah. Everyone she's dating has a nice car. Everyone she's dating is going to take her to the club. Everyone she's dating is going to pay for holidays. Everyone's rich. So money is just a qualifier to try. It's not enough to capture a bad bitch.
That's true, bro.
It's just a basic requirement. Like having arms and legs and a mouth.
That's true.
It's just part of the game, right? So it's getting harder and harder and harder. I'll give you an example, right? I was a pimp. I'm a 4-time kickboxing world champion. 6'3", a multi-millionaire. Got a sexy bald head. Bugatti. Game dudes must be getting wrecked. Because if I have to take shit now and again, imagine how much shit you dudes are getting.
Bro.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And I'm going to make this very, very clear. I live without pity. I don't believe in pity for men. I really don't. Because What you've done is you've made a conscious choice. You've decided being lazy is more important to you than having sexual access. Because as a man, it doesn't matter what you're born with. You can become what you want to be. You can become a superhero if you so choose, and you chose not to. So all those nights you sat home, all those times you played video games,
jerking off,
all that shit you did, jerking off, it all added up and it accumulated in you not getting any replies to your DMs. You deserve it. You deserve it. This is the world, and the world is not fair or nice. This is human nature. So I absolutely enjoy my position, right? But it is getting harder and harder. And when guys come to me, I get a lot of guys messaging me, hey, can you teach me game? The biggest game is being the G. Bam. The biggest game is being so legit you don't have to play games. I don't need game. I'm me. I'll tell you something, man. Because it's amazing to me. You're going to sit on Instagram, see all these beautiful women. The 20 out of 10s that exist. And you know they're one. And you know it's never going to be you. And you're still not going to try and become something. Then you deserve what you got. I love women. If I'm sick, I don't call the boys, I call the chicks. I don't feel well. Come lay, you know, and a woman will come lay with your sick in bed, cook for you, clean for you, do all this. Women have a healing power. Every man to some degree needs some women in his life. And I want women who love me and who are loyal to me and who obey me. So when I talk to guys that teach me game, I was like, listen, you need to be a man worthy of respect, because a woman needs to respect you to love you.
Facts.
And the way a woman's going to respect you is, one of you respect yourself and two of other men respect you. You're not just gonna be able to sit around being a piece of shit and just think just because you're born with a instantly get respect from females who have unlimited choice.
Yeah.
That's stupid, right? That's absolutely stupid. And in spite of all these facts, some men are still remarkably lazy. Well, then you're gonna live the reality that you've painted. You made your bed and you're gonna live in it. That there's nothing else we can do for you. That's the reality of the world. You need to level up as a man. If any man who's watching this, it's not just money. It's not just being in shape. It's everything. It's life experience. It's pizzazz. It's having that famous. It's the ability to tell a story. It's yoga fire.
Yeah.
But my point is, that's what the game is. The game is all about respect. And it's not even just about men and women. Society has always been this way. Since the dawn of time, since the dawn of human time, there used to be kings sitting somewhere in the Roman Empire, sending a letter on the back of a horse to Africa, threatening and someone in Africa would read it and go, shit, I heard this guy's legit. You know what I'm saying? So the world has always been about respect. As a man, you need to be respected. And you're only going to be respected if you do things that people respect. And most of the time, those things are on the other side of fear. We talk about the world we live in today and the problem with girls, etc., etc. The real problem with the world is that there's an epidemic of cowardice. Men are cowards. We have an epidemic of cowardice. Everybody is so afraid. It's on the other side of fear that you're going to garner the respect of other individuals. You have to do things that they're afraid to do, meaning most likely you are also afraid. I've done a bunch of shit I was afraid. I was afraid 87 times before I got in the ring and cage. It's scary, right? I lived a scary life. But by going through all of that, I am now respected. You have to learn to face your fear. I'm not saying not be afraid, because that's not brave. If you do something and you're not afraid, you're not brave. You have to be afraid and do it anyway. That's what courage is. So I'm not saying you can be as scared as you want, but you still have to go. This also ties into why you need to curate your reality. I'll give you an example, man. Everybody around me is brave. I don't hang around with cowards. You have to understand that I've curated my reality to the point now where I can only make the bravest decision because everybody I speak to is brave. There's no bitchness in my realm. I'm rich enough that everybody I correlate my existence with, everybody I conversate with, is saying do the brave thing. There's literally no realm for being a coward. So how can I be the only coward in my peer group? Am I gonna be the only pussy amongst all the men I talk to? No. They say you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So even if you're sitting here right now and you know you're a little bitch, why are you not hanging around with brave men? Because there's a magical power amongst men. And it's a magical power which has been forgotten and lost. When you put enough men in the same room, there's a transference of energy that makes us feel invincible. I say all the time, your friends should bring out the worst in you. And when I say the worst, I mean, you know, when you're with your boys and you're loud, and you feel aggressive and you're about it and you'll talk to that. Who cares if she says no? They bring out the worst in you because you don't give a anymore. Because what used to happen evolutionarily is when large groups of men got together, you charged at the enemy. That's what you did. You ran at the spears. Even in World War I, World War II, they ran at machine guns, screaming over the trenches. When men get together, there's a magical force that makes us feel brave, makes us feel powerful. So you should be around other men that make you feel that way. There ain't a bitch alive who can drag me down. You can't make me sad. I'm with my team. Then I'm gonna go up to my boys and go, well, you know, she had nice man. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So most of these pussies are hanging around pussies, wondering why they're pussies. You deserve it. You need to curate your reality. You don't even need to be brave enough to become brave by yourself. You need to be around men who are already brave. And you need to have enough self-respect to not embarrass yourself like Tommy Fury, like a little punk. You understand what I'm saying? You need to stick to the game.
That's how it goes. I've been head over heels in love with women. I didn't want to lose them, and they weren't listening, so I walked away, and they didn't chase me, and I lost them, but that's it. My honor's intact, my pride's intact, and now I don't give time's a hero. That's life. So it's better than staying in a relationship which I'm not happy in because she starts acting like a fuck. And it's kind of like, I use chess analogies a lot, but it's kind of like chess. If you're playing a game of chess and you're in a losing position, and the only hope you have of winning is a big sacrifice, you give up your queen. And you don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's the only hope. you're better off making the sacrifice even if you lose, because if you don't, you're just going to slowly get ground down and definitely lose in the end.